We all have those individuals in life that we hold on a higher pedestal. We have a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for them. And from a sports fan's perspective, one individual I've always held in extremely high regard is former Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Indianapolis Colts head coach Tony Dungy. I've always respected this man tremendously. I thought this was somebody that overcame a lot, broke through a lot of barriers and didn't complain about it. He didn't sit there and make excuses. He just kept his nose to the grindstone, so to speak. He was one of those individuals to me that always conducted himself with a tremendous amount of professionalism and an even greater level of class. And he's the type of individual that you would think you would sit there and want to say, hey, I'd like my kids to be like him someday. A family man, incredibly well-grounded, humble, respects others, respects himself, conducts himself again with a tremendous amount of class. And that's the way I've always viewed Tony Dungy. That's all I've always felt about Tony Dungy. But the unfortunate thing is when you have those individuals sometimes that you hold in a tremendous amount of esteem and you have this respect and admiration for, when you find out more about them, you realize that maybe you were wrong all along. And that's kind of how I feel about Tony Dungy at this point. Now, here's my thing. A guy that was such a big proponent and advocate for a convicted felon, a dog killer like Michael Vick getting a second chance, a guy like a Tony Dungy that believes that drug users and guys getting arrested for DUIs and guys that beat their women should all get a second chance, seems to not believe that Michael Sam deserves a chance to play in the National Football League. At least he wouldn't on Tony Dungy's team. Now, here's my thing, is you would think Tony Dungy would get it. You would think Tony Dungy would understand the plight of a Michael Sam. Not only is he a young black man in America, but he also happens to be a gay man who is trying to sit there and make a name for himself, pursue a dream, become a professional football player, play in the NFL, something that he's always wanted to do. You would think that a Tony Dungy would understand this, would comprehend this, would get this. You would think he would be able to perfectly relate to him. Because for so many years, a Tony Dungy was denied head coaching opportunities that he probably deserved for no other reason than his freaking skin color. Something that was a part of who he was, but really had no impact or bearing on whether or not he could do the job to the best of his abilities and as well, if not better, than any other individual that was up for the opportunity. That's all Michael Sam is trying to do. He wants an opportunity. He wants a chance. At some point in time, Tony Dungy, somebody gave you a chance. And after all those years of not getting it, you finally got that opportunity. And hell, when you got run out of Tampa Bay, Indianapolis gave you a second opportunity. So you got chances. But yet you wouldn't sit there as an individual that carries the type of clout that you do, with the tremendous amount of respect and admiration you have from NFL peers and front office executives, players, coaches, and fans alike. You wouldn't sit there and stand up and have the courage to say, you know what? Let's give this young man a first chance. Let's give this young man an opportunity. His homosexuality should have no bearing one way or another on whether or not he could play in the National Football League. Where are the priorities for somebody like a Tony Dungy? You go run a dog fighting ring and kill innocent animals, go to jail for a couple of years, yep, you deserve a second chance. Get some DUIs, second chance. Use drugs, second chance. Steroids, second chance. Beat your bitch, second chance. Homosexual, like to have sex with people of the same gender, can't even give you a first chance. This is the type of attitude and ridiculousness that led to the color barrier being in American professional sports for far, far too freaking long. You can't tell me that these different individuals didn't sit there and say, hey, this black kid can really play. This guy can really run. This guy can really catch. This guy can really throw. This guy can really hit. But I don't want to be the first one to do it. I don't want to sit there and give this guy a chance. Maybe I'm not comfortable with it. Maybe I'm a bit of a racist. But at the end of the day, I just don't have the courage to be able to stand up and say, screw it. He deserves the opportunity. He deserves the first chance. And by Tony Dungy saying that he wouldn't want that distraction, that he wouldn't want a Michael Sam in his locker room, to me is basically saying the same damn thing. That he is a man and as an incredibly respected individual, lacks the fortitude and the courage to give this young man a first chance, something that you were denied, Tony Dungy, for so many years, and then eventually you even got a second chance. You would think somebody like a Tony Dungy, who should be able to clearly see the effect and the impact of the Rooney Rule in the NFL when it comes to head coaching searches, meaning that every time an NFL team is looking to hire a new head coach, they must interview at least one minority candidate. And more coaches of color have been hired in recent years, whether they be the Lovie Smiths or the Raheem Morrises or the Herm Edwards or the Jim Caldwells, or hell, we're getting to the point now where individuals like Lovie Smith and Jim Caldwell are retreads. They're getting second opportunities. You would think a Tony Dungy would understand that all Michael Sam wants to do is be judged based off of his ability to play or not play the game of football. He wants the chance to pursue a lifelong dream. The same type of chance that Tony Dungy, you were denied for so many years before you were finally given that chance. How dare you sit there and say that you don't believe that you would want him around, that you would feel it as a distraction, and that you don't think it would be good for the locker room and the environment. You're the type of individual, you're the type of man that should have the courage and the fortitude and the guts and the balls to be able to sit there and say, you know what, screw what everybody else says. I'm not here to judge. I'm going to give this young man an opportunity. That's all he wants, and that's all I can give him. Shame on you, Tony Dungy, for advocating second chances for dog killers and freaking drunks and freaking drug addicts and freaking women beaters. And shame on you for sitting there and at the same token, not even advocating for a first chance for a Michael Sam, because God knows you sure as hell wouldn't have taken the opportunity or the chance. I look at Michael Sam this way. I'm a Chicago Bears fan, as you can see. If my Chicago Bears had a chance to draft a Michael Sam or bring a Michael Sam in, but they didn't, purely off of the basis of how he chooses to live his lifestyle and what he does in the bedroom, then shame on them. If they felt he could help their team, but they didn't do it because they didn't agree with his lifestyle, then shame on them, and I would be ashamed to be a fan of theirs. Shame on you, Tony Dungy. You had a real opportunity to really sit there and show your courage and your integrity and your fortitude and show that you're the man of God that you proclaim yourself to be. Instead, apparently you're just a freaking sellout bigot. Shame on me for respecting you like I did. I assure you, I don't anymore.